Have you ever known someone with incredible talent, but who never achieved their full potential because they never finished what they started? This is the story of George, a gifted carpenter whose greatest obstacle was not a lack of skill, but a lack of completion. And it nearly cost him, was known throughout the town for his remarkable craftsmanship. Give him a piece of rough wood, and he could transform it into something beautiful. His hands moved with confidence. His imagination knew no limits. People admired his talent, but they also knew something else about him. George never finished anything. His workshop was filled with half-completed projects, a table missing its legs, a wardrobe without doors, a rocking chair waiting for its final polish. Whenever a project became repetitive or difficult, George would lose interest and move on to something new. At first, people overlooked it because of his talent, but talent can only carry a person so far. One spring morning, George received the opportunity of a lifetime. Government officials arrived in town with an important assignment. A new government hall was being built, and they needed custom furniture, desks, chairs, cabinets, and meeting tables. The project would bring prestige, wealth, and recognition. After reviewing several craftsmen, they chose George. The entire town celebrated. "This is your chance," his friends told him. George smiled confidently. "Don't worry. I'll create the finest furniture they've ever seen." Officials gave him 6 months, more than enough time. At least that's what everyone thought, including George. The first month was wonderful. George designed magnificent furniture. The blueprints were breathtaking. The wood was carefully selected. The officials were impressed. The second month, George began working. The desks looked beautiful. The chairs showed incredible craftsmanship. Visitors praised his progress. But then something familiar happened. George started thinking about improvements. Maybe the chair backs should be redesigned. Maybe the desk edges could look better. Maybe he should start over and create something even more impressive. He constantly changed plans, restarted projects, abandoned nearly finished pieces. His workshop became more crowded than ever. Furniture parts covered every corner. Nothing was truly complete. As the deadline approached, panic slowly crept into his heart. 3 months left, then 2, then 1. The government officials visited for an inspection. George's stomach tightened as they entered the workshop. Their smiles disappeared. Everywhere they looked, they saw unfinished work. Beautiful unfinished work, expensive unfinished work, but unfinished nonetheless. "Where are the completed pieces?" one official asked. George swallowed hard. "I'm improving them." Official frowned. "Improving them?" "Yes, I want them to be perfect." Official walked silently through the workshop. Finally, he stopped and said words George would never forget. "A perfect chair delivered late is worth less than a good chair delivered on time." George said nothing. The deadline arrived. The government hall stood ready. The furniture did not. Only a small portion had been completed. The contract was canceled. Another carpenter was hired. George lost the largest opportunity of his life. Worse than losing the money was facing the disappointment in everyone's eyes. For weeks, he barely left his workshop. Stared at the unfinished furniture around him. Every piece seemed to mock him. One evening, while wandering through town, George noticed a small pottery shop he had never visited before. Inside sat an elderly potter named Samuel. His hands were covered in clay. His movements were calm and deliberate. Samuel seemed to sense George's sadness. "You carry a heavy burden," he said. George sighed. "I ruined my future." The old potter nodded. "I heard about the government contract." Looked away. "I had the skill. I just couldn't finish." Samuel smiled gently. "Problem was never your hands." "What do you mean?" "The problem is that you fell in love with beginnings and abandoned endings." George remained silent. Samuel stood and led him into the back room. Hundreds of pottery pieces lined the shelves, bowls, vases, pots, each one finished, each one complete. "Do you know why these exist?" Samuel asked. George shook his head. "Because every day I finish what I start." The old man picked up a simple clay cup. "This cup isn't my greatest work." Then he pointed to an elaborate vase. "And this vase isn't perfect. Both are valuable because they are complete." The words struck George deeply. Samuel continued. "Many people worship talent." He placed the cup on the shelf. "But the world rewards completion." The next morning, Samuel gave George a challenge. "Build one piece of furniture." George nodded. "Built hundreds." Samuel smiled. "No, build one piece and finish every detail before touching anything else." George almost laughed. The task sounded too simple. But when he returned to his workshop, he discovered how difficult it really was. He chose a small wooden cabinet. The first day went well. The second day became harder. Soon he wanted to start something more exciting. Several new ideas appeared in his mind. A larger cabinet, a beautiful dining table, an elegant chair. His old habits returned, but Samuel's words echoed in his mind. World rewards completion. So George resisted. Day after day, he continued working on the same cabinet. He sanded every surface, installed every hinge, polished every corner, added every finishing touch. For the first time in years, he refused to begin anything new. Several weeks later, he stepped back and looked at the cabinet. It was finished, completely finished. A strange feeling filled his chest. Pride, not the pride of starting, the pride of completing. He brought it to Samuel. The old potter ran his hand across the smooth wood and smiled. "Do you feel," George thought for a moment, "happier than when I started any project?" Samuel nodded. "Because unfinished work steals confidence." He pointed to the cabinet. "Finished work builds it." From that day forward, George changed. Whenever he started a project, he finished it before beginning another. His workshop slowly transformed. The piles of unfinished furniture disappeared. Satisfied customers returned. His reputation grew stronger than ever before. Years later, George became one of the most respected craftsmen in the region. Not because he became more talented. He had always been talented. His success came because he learned a lesson many people never learn. Starting creates possibilities. Finishing creates results. The moral of the story. Talent without discipline produces frustration. Dreams without completion remain fantasies. The difference between success and failure is often not intelligence, luck, or ability. It is simply the determination to finish what you start. Remember, a finished ordinary task is worth more than 100 unfinished masterpieces. Finish the work, complete the journey, and success will eventually follow. If you enjoyed this story, leave a comment with the goal or project you're determined to finish this year. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories and life-changing lessons.